Begin today the Gemara on Daf Nun Ches Amud Aleph, 4 lines down from the top of the Yamud. The Gemara here before brought Rabbi Yechanan, that said things in the name of Rabbi things that halachas that he asked from Rabbi So the Gemara here brings as follows: Rabbi have a kametzayin ma'arta. Rabbi was making the markers for the areas of the caves where people are buried, as it was in those times that they buried in caves. And then outside of the cave, he would make a marker to see exactly where the space of the burial spot is, that a kohen should know not to go there, not to become tummy. So he would go into these caves. When he came to the cave of Avram Avinu, Ashkechei leEliezer Eved Avram the kohen kami Bava. He finds that Eliezer, the servant of Avram Avinu, was standing there at the entrance, at the door, and going into the cave where Avram Avinu is buried. The Rashbam points out regarding what Rabbi did, that he was a very great person, and therefore he got the permission to enter into these caves of the tzaddikim. Otherwise, the Rashbam brings the lashon of the Gemara in Chulin, Gedolim tzaddikim b'misas and yosim b'chayeyen, and you can't enter into the caves of these tzaddikim. But because of his greatness, he was able to go inside in order to make sure that to be able to make the signs outside to know where the cave it is. Okay, so he's here by the cave of Avram, and Eliezer is standing there. And the Rashbam brings that Eliezer is one of the 7 tzaddikim that it says in Masechta Derech Eretz that loy meisu, they didn't die. Eliezer Eved Avram is one of them. And he's standing there, guarding the cave of Avram. Amalei, so Rabbi says to Eliezer, Mai ka'oved Avram. What is Avram doing now? In other words, he understood that Eliezer is standing there because Avram is doing something that he doesn't want anyone to come inside. Amalei, so Eliezer says to him, Goni bichnafa de Sarah. He's lying in the arms of Sarah. And Sarah is looking and analyzing his head. Amalei zil emelei. So Rabbi Noah says to Eliezer, go say to Avram Avinu, Bino koya bava, that Bino is here by the door and he wants to come in. Amalei, so Avram said, Leil, you can come inside. Maybe Yediyah, he should know the Yetzer Bahai Al Meleke, that there's no Yetzer Hara in this world that I'm in Eilam Haba, and therefore the fact that he sees me lying like this with Sarah doesn't matter. There's no union of Yetzer Hara there. Ayel, he went in, Ayin, and he analyzed, he saw the size of the Maira, exactly where they are, where they're buried. V'nofak, and he came out. And he went on Maras HaMachpelah. You have Avram and Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka and so on. And he went to measure each one of the caves to see. When he reached to the cave where Adam Arishan is buried, and he wanted to measure that cave, Yatzasa Baska Vamra, a heavenly voice came out and announced, Istakalta b'dmusti yukni. You looked and saw the face and to see by Yaakov Avinu, to measure his cave, and you saw the demos, an image of my that I created. The yukni, the most yukni,
my image, the form of Yaakov.
The form of Yaakov, right?
Where does it say Yaakov?
Well, that's what it means. That's what it refers to, as we'll see soon in the Gemara. The yukni atzma al testakel. But in the actual image that I myself created, which is Adam Arishain, there you cannot look, you cannot see, meaning you can't enter into the cave of Adam Arishain to measure the place to see the size. So Rabbi Noah said, but Habayine litziyune ma'arta. I want to make the markers to see how large the cave is, to be able to make the signs outside where not to go. So he was answered, Kimidas achitzayna, kach midas apnimis, that the caves, the size of the ones that are outside and the size of the caves that are further in, it's the same size. So you can make the siman for the inside cave where Adam Arishan is the same based on the size for the one that's outside. So you don't have to go inside there. That's according to one opinion. This is a machlokes in the Gemara, how Maras HaMachpelah, which means a double cave, how it's set up. According to one opinion, there's a cave outside and then there's a further cave inside. But according to another opinion, that it's Shnei Batim, Zula Maila Mizu, that the caves are like one on top of the other, like a house with 2 floors. So then he told him, the heavenly voice said to him, that the size of the cave on the top is the same the size in the cave on the bottom, and therefore you don't have to go out and measure separately, or you don't have to go in, that is, in separate measure separately the cave of Adam Rishon. Oh, Rabbi Noah said, wasn't able to go inside, but nistakalti b'shnei akovov, I looked and I saw the two heels of Adam Rishon, and the daimim, even just his heels, are compared to l'shnei galgalei chama, to two balls of the sun. That's how bright and that's how great he was. And then the Gemara says, hakoil b'fnei Sara, everybody, in contrast to Sara, is kakoif b'fnei Adam. It's like a monkey in front of a human being. And Sara b'fnei Chava, and Sara in front of Chava is also kakoif b'fnei Adam. It's like a monkey in front of a person. And Chava b'fnei Adam, and Chava in front of Adam Rishon is also kakoif b'fnei Adam. And Adam b'fnei Shechina, and Adam Rishon in front of the Shechina is kakoif b'fnei Adam. And the Gemara adds also, and this is connected to the point before regarding Yaakov Avinu, that he was Mitzayin and he saw the Yaakov, but the Eibush did not let him. What the Baskil says, he shouldn't go into the cave of Adam Rishon. Shufrei de Rav Kahana, the beauty of Rav Kahana, according to one Girsa, it's Me'ein Shufrei de Rav. It's similar to the beauty of Rav. Shufrei de Rav is Me'en Shufrei de Rav Avo. His beauty is somewhat like the beauty of Rav Avo. And Shufrei de Rav Avo is Me'en Shufrei de Yaakov. Is somewhat like the beauty of Yaakov Avinu, that is. And Shufrei de Yaakov Avinu is Me'en Shufrei de Adam Rishon. It's somewhat of the beauty of Adam Rishon. That's the story of Rab Beno that was Mitzayin these Midas. Some say that his name Rab Beno was, Beno means to build, is based on this, that he was Baina, he made these tziyunim around the Kvarim that people should know where not to go. Taisvus here addresses that he was being Mitzayin, the Maida is the place to know where there's an oil of Tumah from the Maida that comes up, and therefore you're not allowed to go there. But the question is that the whole halacha of oil that's Matame only applies by Yayid, and therefore it shouldn't apply by Adam Rishon, and not even by Avram Avinu, because it's from before Matan Torah. And Taisvus, there's different terutzim that Rishayim give on this. Taisvus says, this is Machadish, that Avram Avinu is called Adam. It says Ha'adam Hagadol and Adam Rishon as well. So regarding them, there is a tumah of oil. The limud of the Adam, Kiyamas Ba'oil, the tumah of oil is based on the word Adam, which does not apply to a goy, because usually it says Atam Kriyim Adam and not a goy. But by Avram Avinu and by Adam, the tumah of oil does apply.
So Rav Eliezer is telling all these things.
Who?
This is a discussion between Rav Eliezer.
Not Rav Eliezer. No.
Eliezer.
That's Eliezer was standing by the entrance of Avram's cave. Baskel. There was a Baskel that the Gemara talks about here. B'chlal, when they get to this whole story that the Gemara says here, there's a discussion in Mefarshim. There's a famous tshuva of the Rashba that brings a drush that one of the Rishayim in his times wrote in this Gemara, and he explained this whole Gemara Shaloi Kipshutei, and the Rashba writes him back that what he writes is incorrect, and he should stay away from explaining such kinds of Gemaras if he doesn't know what's the real Seid Hashem, the real secret that's here in this Gemara. His drushim that he said are incorrect. That's in the tshuva of Rashba. He doesn't go on to explain what the pshat of the Gemara is. But there's a maimer from the Alter Rebbe that's printed in Eira Teire, which starts with the words of this Gemara, Rabbi Noah v'Kamatzai Marta, and there he explains the whole teichen of this Gemara, Avram and Sarah, that Avram represents one level and Sarah is another level, and the shayrish of Sarah was greater even than Avram, as it says that Sarah was actually a greater Neviah than Avram Avinu. And what it's all relating to is, and that's why it speaks here specifically about Eliezer standing there, is the fact that Avram was Megayer es ha'anoshim and Sarah Megayeres es ha'anoshim, that they brought Gedim into the world, and they all brought them Tachas Kanfi Eshchina, including Eliezer, which was a Ger on a very high level, as it says here, that he never passed away. And what it's saying over here is that by Avram, that brought Gedim into the world, and there's also the taich of his name, Avraham, Av Hamoin Goyim. But through this, that he brings Gedim from Umas Ha'elam, there could be a Yanike of Klippe. And Alter Rebbe there says that the significance of Sarah looking in his ears is the sidus, is a hashpah that comes out with a great symptom, and through this hashpah that comes out with a great symptom, it reaches even Umas Ha'elam. But inside is the Kibiyah Yanike Sachitzainim, which is expressed in the fact that in ears, if lice come into the hair, and that's a representation of this Yanike Sachitzainim, and that's what it says there, that she was looking at his head and his ears to take out the lice from between the hairs, because Sarah, her shayrish is higher than Avram Avinu, and therefore she's able to draw from a higher level to take out and to remove that Yenikas Achitzainim that there is by the head and the hairs of Avram Avinu. That's one Nekuda that the Alter Rebbe explains in the Teichen of what this Gemara is saying. There's an Arichas there in the Maimer explaining that this whole Gemara is referring to Avram and Sarah, the level of what they are, Beruchnis, and the Hashpa, the Gilead Lakus that they bring into the world. Okay, let's continue the Gemara inside. The Gemara continues over here. Where are we holding? A second. Ahu Amgusha. There was this Amgusha, which is a machashiv, a sorcerer. The Havachote Shichvi. He would go and open up graves to take the garments, the tachrichim, to take off the clothing for himself. Kimota Amartu de Rav Tuvi Bar Masna. When he came to the cave of Rav Tuvi Bar Masna and he opened up the cave, Tofse bedikne. Rav Tuvi Bar Masna grabbed this Amgusha by his beard, didn't let him go. Also Abaye came and Omalei, he says to Rav Tuvi Bar Masna, B'matusa minoch, I beg of you, Shavke, let him go. L'shon achriti, the following, and he let him go. The following year, Hadar Asa, so this Amgusha didn't learn his lesson. He came again and opened the cave where Rav Tuvi Bar Masna is buried. Tavse bedikne, so Rav Tuvi Bar Masna grabbed his beard and didn't let him go. Asa Abaye came and again asked him to let him go, but loy shavke. This time he didn't let go of his beard. The Aisi Mispera, he had to bring his scissors, Vegazi ledikne, and he had to cut off his beard in order for him to be able to be released from Rav Tuvi Bar Masna's hold. The Rashbamir says that Abaye was a friend of this Amgusha. Whatever that means, I'm not the significance of this story. I didn't see Hapshat and what the significance of the story is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What the significance of the story.
He was a friend of this Amgusha. That's what the Rashbam says. Haho the Amalahu, another story that happened to with Rabbinah. There was somebody that said to his children before he passed away, Chavita da'afra, a barrel of earth, l'chad broi, will be for one son. Chavita de garmi, a barrel of bones, l'chad broi, will be for another son. And chavita de odra, and a barrel of cotton, l'chad broi, for another son. The children didn't understand what their father is saying with all these barrels. So they came to ask Rabbinah about this. So Rabbinah tells them, Islachu ara, did you inherit from your father a land? They said yes. Islachu chevasa, do you also have cattle that you inherited from your father? So they said yes. Islachu bistriki, do you also have garments and clothing and things like that? So they said yeah, we have. So Rabbinah says, if so, hachi kamalachu. These are the three things that he was telling you. Right? So the barrel of earth is all the properties, the land, and the barrel of bones is referring to the animals, and the barrel of cotton is the garments that he left. That should be divided between the brothers. Hahu gavre, there was an individual, the shama ledebisu, that heard his wife, the ka'amra lebrata, and she said to her daughter, Amai loitznias bi isura. Why aren't you being careful and quiet about the isurim that you do? Meaning that this was a girl, her daughter was being mezana, having inappropriate relationships. But the mother was telling her that if that happens, be quiet about it. The people shouldn't know about these isurim. So if you have children that are mamzeinim, or children that are not born from your husband, so then people should not know about it. Be tzaniah in the negative sense, to be quiet about it. And she said, Hachitza, this woman, referring to herself, Asara bani Isla, she has 10 children, but v'lesli ma'avuch elachad. Only one of these 10 children was actually born from your father. The others are mamzeidim, they weren't born from your father.
10%.
So what happened? Kishachiv, when this man passed away, now he knew about this, that only one of the sons is his. So when he passed away, Amaluhu, he told his children, Kol nechasei lechad bra. All of my possessions should be inherited only by one son. So layadi lahai minayu. They didn't know which one son that is. Asla kamei de Rabbinah. So they came to Rabbinah. Amaluhu. So Rabbinah understood what's going on over here, that he wanted to give it only to one son that was really his son, and the rest he didn't want them to yarshin him. So Amalahu, he says to them, Zilu chavutu kivreda avuchaim, go and bang on the caver of your father, ad the koi, until he'll get up, umegale lechu, and he'll reveal to you, he'll let you know lahai menai cheshavke, to which one of you did he leave all of his possessions for? Who's that one son? So Oslo Kulu, they all went to do what he said. But Ahu de Breyave, the one son that was actually his son, Lo yasal, didn't want to go and do this. So really, this was all a ploy. What Rabbanah was doing over here is those that are mamzerim and they're not really his sons, so they have this bad nature because of being mamzerim. So therefore, he knew that they're going to go and be ready to do such a despicable thing and bang on their father's kever. But the one that's really the son will not go and do this, and that will reveal that this is his son. So Amalahu, the one that didn't go, so now Rabbanah told them, Kulu nichsedahai. All of the possessions goes to this son that didn't go bang on his kever. The Rashbamir actually says that this psak din of Rab Menah is based on the concept that was brought before earlier in this Pedic, which is called Shudah the Daini. When you have a situation where you have money that's in doubt who it belongs to, then it's up to the Bezdin to use their intuition to decide who to give it to. And that's what he did over here, using his intuition who to give it to. Other Rishonim say that it's even more than just a Shudah the Daini, it's more than just an intuition, but it's considered to be a Mamish HaUmdana. There's a real strong assumption to base on that this is the right child, and therefore he's the one that yarshins. So after this happens, they got very annoyed at him, the other sons. Azlu achli kurtze be malka. They went and ate kurtze be malka, which means they went to speak badly about Rab Menah. And Omri, they said, Ike gavrech chad be Yehudai. There's an individual amongst the Yidden, the kamapik memayne me inchi. He takes money out of people. In other words, he paskins and takes money out of people, b'lai sadi, without having proper proof, without having witnesses. Like he did over here, he took money and gave it to one son based on this evidence that he had because of what he, as the story is. Obalai midi, without any cause, without any reason. The Bachir says, Balai sadi, balai raya, without any proof. So the authorities brought him and they imprisoned him for what he did. Oslo the Bisu, so his wife wanted to get him released, and she went to the authorities, and Amr Luhu, she said to them the following: Avdachad Avali, I had a servant, Paskul Reishe, they cut off his head, Upashtul Mishche, and they took off his took off his skin from his body, Vachlu Bisre, and they ate the flesh of his body, the Kamalu Be Maya, and they filled him with water, Umashke Be Lechavraya, and they're giving to drink to their friends. They don't give me any money, and not any reward, and not any pay for them taking my servant. And this is what she said to the authorities. So la yadi Maika Amra, they didn't understand what was her intention. What did she mean to say? Maika Amri Luhu. So Amri, so they said, Nesu l'chakima de Yehudai, let's bring the wise one from the Yidden and the Velema, and he'll tell us what her intention with this, with what she said is. Karyul Rab Menah, they called Rab Menah. Amar Lahu, Rab Menah tells them, Zarnuka Amri Lahu. That what she was saying was that, and Rashbamir says that even though she said that there was a servant that was stolen from her, but what she was saying is that she had a tayish, a goat that was stolen from her, that they skinned the goat and they ate the flesh and they cut off the head, and then they took the skin, the hide of this goat, and they made a leather flask out of it. That's what she meant to say. Okay, so now this is all the Rashbam says here. The Rashbam doesn't say anymore. The Marsha though points out and says what was the big chachma of what he said. What exactly did Rab Menah explain, and what taka did she mean by this that she said? So the Marsha says that she was saying this regarding what they did to her husband, Rab Menah, that they took him away from her and they put him in prison and they're using him out there and he's paying the suffering there, and they're drinking from him and they're not paying her for keeping her husband. That's really the mashal that she was saying. So Amri, so the authority said, Hoyel v'chakim kulahai, since Rab Menah is so wise, leisav above, let him sit at the gates, and v'nidin dina, and let him be a judge, to judge everybody. Chazeh, now Rab Menah became the judge, and he saw the haviksiv ba'abula, that it says on top of the doors of the gates, kol dayin the miskari ledin. Any judge that was ever summoned for a dintayda, for any court case, loishmei dayin, he's not qualified to be a judge. If he himself is in a quarrel with someone, and because of that he's being summoned to a court case, he shouldn't be a judge himself. That was what was written there in this place on top of the door. Amalahu, so Rabbi Noah says to them, Elamayata, if that's the case, Asa inish malma, a random individual just comes along, and he summons a dayan to a court case, and he accuses this judge for something. Pasley, automatically you should say that this should disqualify him from being a judge. There's no basis to this. I mean, someone comes and will take him to a court case for this. It's not enough of a basis, a reason to say that he shouldn't be a judge. Elo, so therefore Rabbi Noah says, Kol dayan de miskari ledin, any judge that's summoned to a court case, umafkin mine memayna b'din, and he lost the court case, and money was taken out of him, and he was a gazlan, so then he can't be a judge, because we're afraid that this is a person that's not honest with money, and will accept bribery. Lav shmida, he can't be a dayan. So so after Rabbi Manoah said this, they wrote and they said, they didn't erase the line that they wrote, but they added and they said, Beram, however, Sabi, the Yudoi Omri, the elder of the Yidden says, Kol dayan the Miskari Ledin, or Mafkim Minei Memayne, a judge that was summoned to a court case and money was taken out of him, within in this judgment, Lav Shmei Dayan, he can't be a judge. Then Rabbi Manoah saw something else. Chaza, he saw that the Haviksiv Bereish Kol, it was also written there, I guess also on the top of the doorpost it was written Bereish Kol Maisa Anodam. What's the head? What's the cause of all death? Blood. The blood of a person that's not good quality. Those times they would for healing they would do bloodletting all the time. The Gemara always talks about Akazas Dam. So the cause of death is the blood that's not good. Bereish Kol Chayin, the source of all life that a person has. What gives a person life is ano chemar. It's either the wine. Good wine is what gives a person life. That's what was written. So Rabbi Noah said about this, Elamayata. But if so, how could you say that this is the cause of all deaths and this is the cause of all lives? Then the Navam Igram is a person that fell from a rooftop and died. Or the Navam Midiklom is a person was climbing on a palm tree and he fell and died. Dama Katle, are you going to say that it's the blood, the bad quality of his blood, that's the source and the cause of his death? Visul, and also Man the Darkil Meimas, a person that's on his way, he's being taken to be killed. Mashkele Chamra, are you going to say that you can give him to drink wine, V'chaya, and he'll live? How could you say that the source of all situations of a person, he could drink wine and that will be a source of life? This is what you should write. Bereish Kol Marin, the head of the cause of all illnesses is anod dam, is the blood of a person that's not in good quality. Bereish Kol Asvin, the head and the cause of all healings is anod chamar, is the wine. So kasvach, so they wrote this and they added this Beram. However, Sabdi Doi Omri, the elder of the Yidden says, Bereish Kol Marin anod dam, that the head, the cause of all illnesses is the blood. Bereish Kol Asvin, the head and the cause of all healings is anod chamar, is the wine. Ba'asar, now in a place in the less chamar where you don't have wine, tamon mitbu samonim. So over there you should bring samonim, you should bring medicine to heal a person. Then ksiv apische de kaputkaya. It was written on the top of, this is a separate thing. This is not what Rabbi Noah saw, but the Gemara here is just saying in connection to this that it was written on top of the entrance, the door, the entrance into the city of Kaputkaya. It was written these three words: Anpak, Ambag, Antal. According to the Rashbam, these are three names of measurements, and they wrote all these three names of measurements to remind people that they all are the same shear of a measurement. And the Gemara is going to say right here what this measurement is. But it's, I guess, the city of Kapatkaya was a place where people were doing business and they would measure things. So this was like a reminder on the entrance of the city that these are three measurements, the same measurement. According to Taisvis, Ambag and Ampak are names of various different potions and drinks that are used to heal a person. And you drink them in this antal, which is a certain measurement and a size of a keli. That's the healing for a person. Now, ve'izeu antal, what is this measurement of antal? Zeu revius shel Torah. This is the amount of a revius of a lug. That's the shear of an antal. This is actually the source of the bracha al netilas yadayim. The word netila means a keli, a natla. In this lashon, natla means a keli, which has at least the revius of it that you need to use to wash your hands. So this lashon of natla, because the mitzvah of netilas yadayim is to wash with a keli, that's the nusach of the bracha al netilas yadayim.